Honestly speaking, the Kingdom performances that I expected have finally started coming from all the groups, but not quite really. Another day, another Yap session, and today we're going to go into the fourth circle of hell, which is especially reserved for mnet in my opinion, but that aside, today we're going to go deep into the official second mission, where the actual eliminations will occur. If you stayed off the letter app, good for you. You don't know the group that's eliminated. Ignorance is bliss, am I right? Okay, so the brief for this episode is pretty simple actually. This time the groups have to perform their own songs, and it's the representative hit songs, the one that most people know. It just has to be rearranged. So for this round, there'll be 2 aces per team.
Right now.
Aton decided to perform their debut song Tic Tac, so they elaborated more upon the existing Egyptian elements present in their music video for Tic Tac. Tic Tac as a song, it deals with uncertain futures, so they adopted the story of Anubis, who's the god of death, afterlife and mummification. So Jaehyun and Myungho are the aces, and Jaehyun is Anubis and Myungho is a dead king, and the remaining members are the soldiers of, the dead king. Jaehyun as Anubis is basically escorting all the souls of these dead Confederate soldiers and kings to the next life. But these soldiers and the king do not want to go, they want to continue living. It was a metaphor for Aton because they placed last in the first round. That, we will again rise back and claim our place. But subs come out really late, and my ADHD mind went in a completely different. It did go to Anubis. It's not that it didn't go over there. It went to the myth of Anubis swaying the hearts of the deceased. After a person is dead, Anubis decides the fate of the soul, because the Egyptians believe that the soul continued to live on in paradise. So it was weighed against the feather of Ma'at. I think I'm pronouncing that right.
If the heart was the same weight or lighter than the feather,
the person would be allowed to live on into paradise because it shows that you are pure at heart.
But if it was heavier, it shows your sins.
And then, you would die. The reasons why I had speculations for this is the costumes of the aces. I know Jaehyun was Anubis because of his spoken verse where he in fact says that let my voice be the guide to your soul or something like that. I thought maybe later on he also can symbolize he's the feather and Myungho is the heart, because Myungho was wearing red and Jaehyun was wearing white. Later in the stage also you see Jaehyun coming out of the coffin, and he's covered in blood only in the chest area. So I thought that maybe his heart had been ripped out for judgment. And later in the stage where the aces are having their not solo but where the aces are dancing together, you can see that they're perfectly symmetrically aligned until Myungho goes back up, which shows the lightness of his heart. Guys, I spiraled. Also, another detail was Myungho's eye makeup where it's veins. So I'm just it's the heart, right? That makes sense, right? I was very wrong. The only thing that I was right till, aside from the Anubis, basically in the beginning, it was a very subtle change, but he had a costume change where he went from black to red. So black is not necessarily death. It is death in ancient Egypt, symbolizes resurrection, and that's why he goes back into red, where it's a weird stage of he wants to be alive also. So that was the only single connecting thread that I was right about. The only thing that bummed me about Aton's performance was, while watching it during the live stream, was the chorus part. So in the beginning I was finally the Kingdom stages are happening, right? I expected the chorus to be kind of sharp and crisp movements, but they went more into the flowy kind of movement. See, I'm not shitting on them for doing that, right? I went even through their music video. Their choreo is flowy in general, and as for the aces, this time they definitely did stand out much better. And Aton is a group that learns, because within the episode they address the fact that we didn't understand the ace concept last time and we need to do better in this. So overall, they did a really good stage. It was fun to watch in terms of concept. I hate myself when I ask for concepts, but then on Friday nights, I'm busy crying because I'm not able to get one little small detail in these stages. But overall, they did a really good job, and I would give it a solid 8 or 8.5 with additional points for the live singing.
Love or die, yeah.
I'm a Barbie girl, if you couldn't tell. So anything with Swan Lake or ballet will give me nostalgia, so they definitely managed to get chills out of me from that. But the music itself was so well arranged. I was actually very apprehensive about the rearrangement of Love or Die, because no joking, Love or Die is one of my favorite tracks of 2023. It was 100% probably the most streamed also, I don't even really know. I was excited that yes, finally they're doing Love or Die, but I was just oh no.
They're doing Love or Die and they have to rearrange it.
I was do not ruin a perfect song place, but they did not ruin it. Keeping Love or Die intact while also integrating it with the original Tarkovsky? Yeah.
Definitely.
The original Swan Lake. Because the original Swan Lake in itself, it shows both beauty and tragic horror in the beauty. Love or Die, it was perfectly woven into that. Props 100% to the rearrangement. The thing is, the same passion or the same emotion which was in the song, it was not able to translate onto the stage. I kind of expected you to, use elements of Swan Lake in your stage itself. If you've used this song, why wouldn't you use it, right? It's like it goes hand in hand. Also, it may lead to why people's expectations might have gone down later on. It could have been like such a great take on Swan Lake where it was a reverse Uno card situation where the boys, the aces, were like Dead and O'Neill. In the beginning, I was kind of actually reminded of that scene from Harry Potter. I know this is not a niche reference. Why was I going to say that this is a niche reference? I think it was in Order of the Phoenix where they were going through the place where all the prophecies are there with those globes and all. And because of that, I had very high expectations on how the stage would look like. In terms of, I expected it to be like on the lines of Heavenly and all. And it was. Until the smoke cleared out. I agree. The ladders do have a symbolism for the difficulty you have to go through to get to the girl that you love. But those scaffolds and ladders later, especially the scaffolds, right? Because they were mostly static behind them, it becomes a kind of eyesore, if not a distraction, from the actual performance, because there's so many lines going on behind. And it became even worse was when, I think it was during the second verse, where one of the members was basically pushed up by the ladder. I'm just like bad camera angles, but it really stood out. And this time it was not in a good way. Like, this is another instance of where people need to understand the importance of lighting. For example, it was getting really distracting with the scaffolds just behind them, but moment the lights dimmed, I liked those part of the stages better because you could focus on the members. As for the aces, it was difficult to make them out. Even within the episode, the idols themselves were saying that, oh, the costumes are a little similar, maybe that is their concept. But I have to reiterate where the ace concept is not being understood, where the aces for TNX were chosen for number 1, a redemption arc, and number 2, visuals. The song belongs to them. They own that song. That's why the ace should be chosen. I know this is the identity mission, and every group has the oneness that's their concept, right? But one cannot forget that the aces are being evaluated individually, because in the end, let's all say it, it's Ace of Ace. Their motivation to choose Love or Die for this mission was to show the emotion or the desperation of, if we do not win this, we would rather just die. And honestly, you know what? Same. I would rather just die than to give 1 more cent of my hard-earned money to mnet. Not gonna lie, there were many parts I was just confused about. For example, the cube structure thingy that they were using for the stunts, right? My over-analyzing ass was sitting like, why is it a cube? Like, what is the symbolism in the grand scheme of things? But I think they were just using it mostly to, impress. Also, in general, Gravity staged this time, they were going more for the imagery. Like, for example, the crashing of the waves was kind of the imagery to show the inner turmoil that Gravity was having, because, they ranked last in the first episode. In the beginning, you notice how the colors are very gloomy, depressive, melancholic. My English teacher's proud of me for using that word. Later on into the performance, when the flowers fall down onto the stage, then the colors also come back into the life. So me thinks that the reason that it was done like that was to show that, in the beginning it was, full of turmoil and it was slightly dark, because after all, they didn't get to perform. But they immediately rose back up into first place, and they showed their colors. Also, I do appreciate the actual good use of the death drop over here, in relation to its meaning. When you watch their performance, right, it's like you're taken aback by the presentation. You are meant to be impressed. And I feel that's what Gravity's goal was this time, to immediately impress. So yeah, honestly, Gravity is a group that rarely misses in terms of their group performance. Honestly speaking, Unite was the one who truly understood the concept of identity. Not only did they go back to their roots, right, and what they are known for, which is the refreshing and joyful concepts, they also showed the story So in the beginning, honestly speaking, my expectations were low because the way the props were coming in, right? Because the song was waterfall, right? So I expected it to be, on the themes of drowning. I'm just like, these things are looking cheap. But they played with the emotions of the audience, and honestly, I am for it. That's how you do a performance. So it starts with Yoon with a mic, ready to perform, but his mic is snatched away. He's pushed into the, the wave, the waterfalls, I don't know. It's kind of like a flashback, or, showing how Yoon or the idol came till there, like the pitfalls and the journeys and all. Yoon when he falls, he's helped, in my opinion, by another trainee, and also when he mirrors, it's showing the message of, oh, these people will help you and also like you, and you don't feel so alone or so lost. And slowly and steadily, especially I love this part when they were all jumping out of the satin things, that more trainees started coming and they all joined together and became in sync, ready to debut, and then they welcome you to the Unite Kingdom. Honestly speaking, I enjoyed. There's a difference between appreciation versus enjoyment, and I enjoyed. Although I appreciated 8 turn stage, but I enjoyed Unite stage. So a speedrun of little things and details in the stage that I really liked. First of all, Yoon hyping up the audience, later in the stage. Unite actually looked happy performing, and especially I don't know why. It was very infectious to me, the regular depressed person that I am. And jumping in someone's arms, and he's just a little baby girl, and honestly I stand. But aside from that, right, I feel Yoon is actually the hidden ace, where he was the one who said that don't let the entire stage be, joyful and refreshing. Let that come in the later half, because it'll get boring and expectant that, oh yeah, they're just going to be doing joyful throughout. And honestly speaking, he was right. Honestly, that was the reason why I enjoyed Unite stage the most. Also, I'm going to go on an Yoon appreciation spree, and y'all better sit down for this one because he does not get the recognition that he deserves. I know people talk about Hwanwoong and how he completely changes as a person when he performs, and I'm a 2 moon, don't get me wrong. It's not that I'm hating on Hwanwoong. Yoon was that, because I'm biased towards Hwanwoong. I know him since debut. It did not strike to me that the same guy who was sitting at the leader's table was the same guy who was the ace of Bite Me, and he was the same person who was the ace for this round also. It really didn't, it was not hitting my head, because he genuinely changes according to the performance and stage that he needs to portray. It's not just him. He also understands what the group needs to do to, be different and own the stage, basically. For example, there was a small detail during their practice run where they have to bow, and he's just like, oh, don't do that, maybe we'll do something different, because everyone has already seen this moment. And honestly, right, he even earned my appreciation as a leader, because as a leader, he took feedback, because in the beginning, he had actually said that maybe doing the reflection concept is not a good idea. The other leader, he said that maybe it is a good idea because a lot of intense concepts are happening, and if they continue doing the intense concept, then they won't be able to go back to this refreshing. So this was the peak time to do it. So instead of shooting down the idea, he took it in. And honestly, up till now, it's the best stage of this mission. Okay, now I have come back. I remembered. I have come back to the point where the kingdom stages are kingdoming, but not really. I'm kind of bittersweet about, the live audience thing. I appreciate that there's a live audience, because there are certain groups that you can only appreciate them and enjoy their performance being IRL. It does not translate through the screens. The live audience is the best judge of the performances. But because of that, there are certain stage restrictions also. In Kingdom and even in Road to Kingdom, they were using that strip stage, and because of pandemic reasons, there was no live audience. They could work and play with the camera. Whereas in this one, because there's a live audience, it has to be catered towards the audience. So because of that, the stage is kind of one-dimensional in the sense that they can't interact with the camera, is what I'm getting at. I'm not gonna lie, right? I liked it when they interacted with camera, because come on, right? But I'm not going to shit on them for not interacting with the camera, because I understand the fate of your outcome of this series is dependent more on the live audience. So it'll be very weird if a group only interacts with the camera, because then the live audience suffer. But I really do appreciate when they play around at least a little bit. For example, in 8 turns in the beginning itself, and 2 of the soldier members. But it also made sense for the live audience. The live audience could see what they were doing. So I really do appreciate that too. So for the next performance, the remaining 3 teams are going to perform. The 3 teams being the crewone, Tempest and oneus. Do let me know your thoughts, because man, did I break my head trying to decode this episode's meanings. And yeah, do subscribe for more, and that's all for now. Ciao. Also, I don't know if I'm going to put this in the video, but yeah, I'm not going to be able to post a video next week because I have to attend a concert in 2 different cities and it's going to be for an entire week. So yeah, no video next week, but ciao. Thank you.